Hello. I wanted to talk a little bit about the benefits of a block schedule. The five main benefits of a block schedule are: number one is it promotes collaborative learning. Collaborative learning is where students are working together to solve problems, to build projects, or to answer questions, or to practice whatever the learning might be happening for that day. So collaboration in the classroom and group work is a way for our teachers to be able to set up learning where students are supporting each other in a lot of different ways. What this looks like in the classroom can be where you have small group instruction, you can have rotations, you can have centers, you can have labs in science, where students are just working in small group settings. And that can be done where some groups are more heterogeneous, where they're mixed at levels. And then sometimes you might want to have a lesson where the kids are grouped at level. So you have your higher ability level students, or those that are already excelling at the current lesson, can be pushed a little further, while some students that are struggling in that learning might be able to work more directly with the instructor. In an 85-minute block schedule, that actually is promoted quite well. And the traditional way of a 42-minute class, there's so much that goes into what we call administrative duties, taking attendance, collecting homework, passing out papers, answering questions, that you end up having a very short period of time for instruction or for learning to actually take place. In a traditional setting, in my experience, it's been very difficult to be able to have a conclusion to any given lesson. And so lessons tend to be very disjointed in the perspective of the student. So student learning works up to a certain point in 10-15 minutes per 42-minute period, and then the students are cut off, and then they go home, and they may practice, may not. There might be homework assigned, there may not. And then they come back, and we have to do a review, and then we do some more direct instruction, then some practice, and then we have to keep doing this for 3 or 4 days to be able to conclude any given lesson, because there's no chunk of time that is continuous where students have been given direct instruction to model some of the learning that is going to be taking place, provide the directions and the expectations for the students, and then allow those students to be able to practice with guidance in the classroom directly following the actual direct instruction. In that space, students are actually practicing right after they've already been given a model or they've heard about the lesson. Then, as the teacher's roaming, they can go ahead and work and see where students are at, engage the student learning at that point in time, directly after they've been given those instructions. And then there could be a closure where the whole class comes back together and the students can give feedback about the lesson itself at the end. So there's more time to be able to do a beginning, middle, and end of any given lesson that provides that real depth in learning. It's not disjointed, it's not disconnected as many 7 to 8 period day classes tend to promote. In addition to that is the quality time. Another benefit would be the quality time students and teachers to be able to have in the lesson itself, because it lends itself to be able to do that. You might have a lesson that only takes 15-20 minutes for that day, and then you'll have another 15 to 20 minutes to have a more collective, more overall broad opportunity. Perhaps playing review games might be where students are engaged in quizzing each other. They might be able to practice some of their favorite ways of studying. So there's more opportunities for there to be engagement between the students and teachers in a block schedule compared to a 42-minute period class. There's more focus. A third benefit would be the focus that students are going to be able to give into a lesson without having that disconnect of time where the bell rings very, very quickly. Students in science have always said that the bell just rang and we didn't have any time to be able to do what we were just getting into. So this is going to be able to provide that more focus, that depth of learning and practice in the classroom rather than having to do it at home. And then lastly, which I think is the most fundamental and most important, is there's less homework on any given day. These are only students will only be seeing 4 classes per day. And because of that, the likelihood, the maximum amount of homework that they would have on any given day would be for 4 classes at most, rather than the 7 or 8 classes that they might have had in the past. So homework is less of an issue when students are in a block schedule compared to traditional scheduling. The longer class periods, for me, I think are going to be a way for students to be able to have better connections to the learning. The block schedule, I can't say how much I am passionate about the block schedule enough, because I just found how much that lends itself to be able to promote the student learning in a more effective way and more engaging way. And even though it might be longer, if it done right, students won't feel that impact. They won't feel like it's an 85-minute class, because there's so much that you can put into that time frame. And that's one of the things that I think I wanted to close on, is just how much student engagement will work when block is effectively taught to. And if setting up effective lessons in a block schedule is our goal for students to be able to see a much higher satisfaction and a much higher level of learning than they've had in years past, because we will be able to promote that in the block schedule compared to the day-to-day 7 to 8 period classes that we've had in the past. So just to recap, the big benefits I think for the block schedule are the collaborative effort and the collaboration that is going to be taking place in the classroom will increase. There will be much more student work working together, because they'll be able to have that space with guidance from the teachers. The quality time that is set up between the teacher and the students will increase. And then there will be less homework on a daily basis. And then lastly, just making sure that students understand that even though it might be longer time, they won't feel that impact of time, because the learning, they'll have the opportunity to actually be able to do the learning in the classroom rather than having to do it at home for homework and with us guidance, and not have the opportunity to have the teacher there to support them. So those are the major points for the block schedule that I think are the benefits. I'm very excited to be able to have this opportunity to be able to teach again in the block schedule, and I'm looking forward to seeing how much the students will grow this year.